This is a third and fourth stimulus check update. I have really big news to share with you. The Senate parliamentarian just ruled that the Democrats are allowed to use the reconciliation process for 2 more bills throughout the year, which means Democrats can pass whatever they want without any Republican support, which paves an easier path for the fourth stimulus check to pass. I'll give you all the details on that. I'll give you more details and updates on the third stimulus check, the $10,200 tax break, the child tax credit. We'll talk more about the infrastructure bill and the criticism it's getting from Republicans. Then we'll talk about the fourth stimulus check. I hope you're having a great day. If you appreciate these fact-based, fast-paced updates, then hit the like button down below. I want to get your opinion on this first. So Dr. Fauci says that the federal government won't mandate vaccine passports. Now he's just talking about the federal government. It's a different case on a state-to-state level because New York has launched the nation's first vaccine passports and they plan on using it. They don't have all the details worked out. Basically what a vaccine passport is to show that you're vaccinated. So if you wanted to get into a grocery store or a restaurant, you'd have to show that you're vaccinated with your vaccine passport. If you don't have the vaccine passport, you can't enter the building, business, activity, or event. But not all states are on board with this. For example, Florida governor has signed an executive order banning vaccine passports to use at businesses. So it seems like it's not going to be on a federal level, but more of a state-to-state level. Let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Is this a good idea, bad idea? Do you think more states are going to start using vaccine passports or banning vaccine passports? Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. Let's talk about the big news first. So the Senate parliamentarian late last night just let Democrats know that they could bypass the GOP filibuster on 2 more bills. Basically what this means is that the Democrats could pass 2 more bills without any Republican support. If you remember with the third stimulus check package, that the Democrats were able to pass it regardless of what Republicans wanted, and they could have as much opposition as they wanted, but the Democrats were able to still pass it without them through this kind of loophole, just kind of circumnavigating the Republicans. So that is big news because that means that the Democrats can pass whatever they want. If they want to pass the fourth stimulus check, the biggest infrastructure bill ever, or have an increase in Social Security, the $15,000 credit for first-time homebuyers, all those things that have been spoken about and promised on the campaign trail by President Biden, he can now throw into these 2 next bills and it could pass no problem. So basically what happened here, according to Chuck Schumer's spokesman, the parliamentarian has advised that a revised budget resolution may contain budget reconciliation instructions. This confirms the leader's interpretation of the Budget Act and allows Democrats additional tools to improve the lives of Americans if Republican obstruction continues. And if you've been paying attention to any politics at all, we know that the Republicans are going to continue to obstruct and be opposed to anything that the Democrats pass, which means that it's probably going to be done through reconciliation again. But it's not that easy because Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia says he won't support corporate tax hike to 28%. If you remember with the third stimulus check package, Joe Manchin had a lot of power. Even though he's a Democrat, he leans a little more right and he has a lot of say because with the reconciliation process, the Democrats need all 50 Democrats on board in order to pass whatever they want. If one of them, let's say Joe Manchin, is not on board, then nothing gets passed. So Joe Manchin has a lot of power. Already he's saying he doesn't want it to be increased to 28%. Currently, the corporate tax rate is at 21%. And I'm sure he's going to have criticism for other things. Before moving forward with more info on the infrastructure bill and the fourth stimulus check, I just want to give you some rapid fire updates really quick. So if we look in the comments here, Kimberly McBride got her check mailed on the 26th and received it yesterday on the 5th. Derek Fryer said March 26th was my date for paper check and got it on April 1st. So it looks like people with a March 26th mail date are starting to receive those checks, which means that the next batch of paper checks being mailed out on April 9th could take up to maybe 2 weeks at most to get it. In regards to the third stimulus check, April 7th, tomorrow is the big direct deposit day that you should be able to access your money, and April 9th is going to be another paper check mail out date. And unfortunately with the stimulus checks, veterans are still waiting for their checks. No word yet from the IRS. They did say it may happen in mid-April, but still no word of exactly when veterans are going to get it, which I think is shameful. Moving on with the IRS tax refunds. So with the $10,200 unemployment tax break, those refunds are going to start in May, according to the IRS. And with the child tax credit, so the monthly stimulus checks for families may be delayed. So that is the $250 a month or $300 a month child tax credit. That is probably not going to happen, according to the IRS commissioner. So what he said is, I don't have the resources to devote to that portal until the filing season ends. Filing season ends on May 17th, which means that the portal may or may not be set up by July 1st for those monthly checks. I'll keep you updated on that. Next, let's talk about the infrastructure plan, the criticism from Republicans. I'm going to play you two clips, and then we'll talk about the fourth stimulus check. Let me know what you think about that rapid fire updates. Was it too fast? Did you understand it? Let me know down in the comments below. I want to give you as much information and not waste any of your time. So let's talk about the Republicans are claiming that the Biden $2 trillion infrastructure plan is a partisan tax hike, plus a lot of other criticism. Here is a clip with Chris Wallace from Fox interviewing Brian Deese from the White House about the infrastructure bill.
Let's start with the latest jobs numbers. In March, the economy added 916,000 new jobs, and the unemployment rate fell to 6% flat. And that was before the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill and the spike in vaccinations. Question, given all that, does the country need another $2 trillion in federal spending in this bill and trillions more in another bill that the president is going to lay out sometime in the next few weeks? We're talking about another at least $4 trillion in more government spending.
Well, the jobs numbers in March were certainly a welcome sign. It's good to see the economy starting to improve, and we certainly think that it's a sign that the economic and vaccination strategy that this administration has put into place from day one is starting to have an impact. But we have a long way to go. We still are down 8.4 million jobs from where we were a year ago. We have millions of people out of work. More than 2 million women have left the labor force because they've had to choose between caring for their family members and their jobs. And so we have a long way to go. What our plan says is, let's keep the economy going. Let's see more job creation. That's a really good thing for the economy. But let's also think to the longer term about where are those investments that we could make that will really drive not just more job growth, but better job growth. Not just job growth in the short term, but job growth in the long term by investing in our infrastructure, by investing in our research and development in a way that we haven't since the 1960s. If we do that, we think we can not only have a strong job rebound this year, but we could sustain it over many years. That's the goal.
So I wanted to clarify some of those numbers that were mentioned in the beginning of the clip. So jobs report came out and it blows past expectations as payrolls boom by 916,000 in March. So these are the numbers for March, 916,000 jobs gained, which I think is great. But you have to look at the full picture here. If we look at the unemployment jobless claims, right? So this is US jobless claims amid the pandemic. So we could look how many unemployment claims were made, which gives us a different idea of the numbers. So right here is in March 27th, the week of March 27th, 714,000, then 658,000 unemployment job claims, 651,000, 757,000, then 725,000, right? So if we look at those numbers, it's like a little over 2 million jobless claims in March. So yes, we gained 916,000 jobs, but we lost maybe about 2 million jobs. So it's almost like saying last week I made $900, or last month I made $900, but I had $2,000 in expenses. So therefore I'm at a loss of like 1,000, right? If those numbers make sense to you. Here is another clip of that talking more about the infrastructure and criticism of it.
About this, the White House basically calls this an infrastructure bill, and yes, there are hundreds of billions of dollars for roads and highways and bridges and for some other things that I think you can argue are infrastructure, like expanding broadband. But there are also some other parts of this bill, and I want to put them up. $213 billion for housing, $400 billion for taking care of the elderly and disabled. Brian, those may well be worthy projects, but they're not infrastructure.
Well, look, I think we really need to update what we mean by infrastructure for the 21st century. If you look at that number on housing, what we're talking about is construction, building housing all around the country to help make sure that there are more affordable housing units for people to access jobs and access economic opportunity. We're talking about construction to build things like VA facilities, our schools and community colleges, putting people to work, construction work that really needs to be done to meet commitments that we have to our veterans and others. We believe that the infrastructure of our care economy is something we have to take very seriously. If for anybody out there, many of your viewers who are parents who are taking care of an elderly parent or an adult child with disabilities, they know that if you don't have an infrastructure of care to support your loved ones, you can't effectively work. You can't effectively interact in the 21st century economy.
Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. So there may not be actual infrastructure in the bill, but it seems like the Democrats are changing the definition of infrastructure. It could be human infrastructure or care infrastructure. Regardless, there isn't just actual infrastructure in the bill. There's a lot of other social, causes or programs in there as well. And we haven't even gotten to the American Family Plan, which is going to come out soon, which will have more social programs. The Republicans are criticizing it, saying the GOP claim that only 5 to 7% of Biden's plan is for real infrastructure. So out of $2 trillion, 5 to 7% is a very low number in terms of what they would define as actual or real infrastructure. So Republicans are saying, you look at this bill, the $2 trillion in the bill, that only 5 to 7% of it is actual roads and bridges and ports and things that you and I would say is real infrastructure, and that we tried to get passed under the last administration with President Trump. So it may not have the real infrastructure or actual infrastructure, but let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. Regardless of real or actual infrastructure, with all those social programs and human infrastructure, is that a good idea? Should it pass? Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. And most likely you care most about a fourth stimulus check, which seems a lot more likely now because we have senators and House representatives just with the Democrats who have been pushing fourth stimulus checks, and not just a one-time check, but monthly stimulus checks, which seems a lot more realistic as of now because of the reconciliation. Because of the reconciliation process able to be used, it means that they could completely bypass the Republicans. They could pass whatever they want. It could be fourth, fifth stimulus checks. They could throw in whatever they want, as much money as they want, and it's not going to be checked by the Republicans. So if there is more news on the fourth stimulus check that should come out because of the reconciliation process, I'll keep you updated on that. That is all the stimulus news I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here is my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Guys, I didn't see you there. Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. So I wanted to tell you something that you should do. Hi guys, what you doing? Sorry, that's my sister. If you want to do something and you can't find something, you have to do what you want to do and make another something. If you can't do the first one, then go on to the next one, because you have to stay positive and good and have good relationships with some friends, and you should always be good enough. Bye. That's all I wanted to tell you.
Thank you so much for watching up until this point. You really are a Wise Flyer VIP, and thank you so much for all the support in general. Anyways, if you want to watch more videos on stimulus, you could click this playlist down over here. It's the latest stimulus updates if you want to fill yourself in on any gaps, or you could click this video over here. It's on my Wise Vibes channel on how to stay motivated and inspired. So click out of those links right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.